right, hey guys, Sam back with you here Friday, August 31st, about middle of the day here. Now, we just done the Bitcoin video here. I thought I would look at one other here, and as I was just kind of looking around to see where we might find something interesting that I could share with you that might have a few lessons. I came, so this is a site, I've shown this in video a couple of times. Now, I used to often go to a CoinGecko here, but they've made some changes in the way they've done their layout here, and then I have recently discovered this site here. I like it a lot, and so I would encourage you to, just make it one of your sources for information. Just bookmark it. I check it regularly for what that's worth. But this is kind of interesting here. So much like any of the sites, we're going to see all of the coins and what's happening to them. So if I do it here on market cap, right? So obviously Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, so all the regulars here, but they have this algorithmic scoring here that is not unlike what CoinGecko used to do. They've made some changes to the way they present that information. So I'll let you come over here and read about what they're putting into their algorithmic scoring here, of how they're identifying and scoring different cryptocurrencies. But I did notice this. So often what I'll do is I'll look to have it ranked by the algo score. So this has not changed in quite some time. Still number one is Ethereum Classic. And I think when I first showed this site, it was when we were looking at a review of Ethereum Classic. But interestingly here, this is just recently shown up here. OX is now in the number 2 spot. Monero 3 Dash, Arger, Zk. Look, Bitcoin all the way down here, like 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like it's about 10 spot down. Interesting. Right, so since we had looked at Ethereum Classic and we hadn't looked at OX before, I thought we'd take a look at that. So it's this kind of interesting that this has just recently showed up here. So let's go take a look. Now, symbol is ZRX. I've got it up here on Binance. This is a 12-hour chart. And now we'll get in over here in a second. But just to give it a review, this it actually looks like we have a 5-wave sequence down. These look like complete structures to me. So look, I can definitely get 5 going up here. I can get an ABC coming down. I can get 5 going up here. So there's a couple of things. This is a really good example of a 333, as it's called in Elliott Theory here. So I thought that would be worth showing it to you and kind of picking it apart. But as it sits right now, I wouldn't necessarily be trying to connect all of this. Now, eventually, sure, we'll be able to do that. But as I sit here looking at it now, the only thing that really immediately I want to look at is from the absolute low to the absolute high. Where are they? Is this impacting where we are now? Well, all right, so we're through the 50. We've come down here, challenge the 618. We're kind of in no man's land. Now, interestingly, so I've got this set to visible range. So you can look at this here, see this little low volume node here that we have, and if I pull that across, it seems to be fairly consistent with, let me come over here, get this down here, pretty consistent area of support that we've seen. And again, we don't have market acceptance here, thus the low volume node. So either, as I've shown before, if a market comes down to test a low volume node, it's one of two things. Either it's rejected because market doesn't accept it, or it just slices through it like butter because there is no support there. Now, we'd have some technical support. First, this structural support here. Then we've got the golden zone sitting down there from swing high to swing low. So there'll be some algorithm there that'll kick in there to try and defend. But looking at this, what's interesting here is what's happened since the top. So let me go down. Let's go to a 4-hour. I think I can show it to you there. Let me pull this off here. We've got this established as sort of a base zone down here. So coming off of this is just a very good, it's really a textbook example of it, of a 333. So from this pivot up here, we can definitely get an ABC coming down. So that gives us our W. But here's just a perfect example. So in strict Elliott rule set, we'd be looking for the X wave to retrace 90% of the W wave. So if we look here, that's almost, it's really almost, it's a double top here. So it's even through the 887. All right, so we're pushing over 90% of that retracement, but it's just a good, perfect example. Now, who knows what caused that crazy wick there? Now, that is a 4-hour chart. So there was some trading along the way. But that just perfect example of it. So ABC come down from my W. Here's the big X. Well, then I can go ABC yet again. So that gives me my Y. Remember, a WXY is simple concepts. It's just connecting two ABCs. Why we call it a triple three is because now we get a second X, and then that connects the next series of ABCs. So just like it's really an 11 swing series here. So we've got ABC, 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 ABC. It's a lot of ABCs in this, which I guess that's pretty obvious. So coming down here now, this looks pretty textbook here. So I don't recall if this was, but just with a quick look at it. All right, so that's, get that right on there. That's pretty classic algo play, right? So they start buying at the 50, they defend to the 618, and they get target. Gets almost a second target. Gets comfortably through the first target. But that's, you know, that's as clear a tell as you're going to spot, right? So down here we come, hold it, up we go, targets met. Now we get the reaction. So pretty sizable reaction coming off of that. So no question about what's happening here. That's an ABC, algos were in. There we go. So WXY completes. ABC for the X. Now we're trying to complete into yet another ABC. So I'm going to zoom in on this where we're taking it from the X wave coming down. So we can see it a little bit better. Let me go down. Let's see if I can do it in a 2 hour. Let's get that here. So coming from that, well, we're looking for, sorry. Here's our X. So we're looking for an ABC. Well, it looks to me like what's happened here is that we've had an extension in the C wave. So if we come from this X wave here, we again, knowing that we're looking for an ABC. Now, of course, you wouldn't know when it was here that you were going into a triple three. It's only with the benefit of all of this price history that we can try and organize it per an Elliott rule set and see, oh, what could this be? A triple three. So coming down here, I got a clean 5, right? So I get this, look at this, barely just get a little overlap here. So I've got a leading diagonal into my A wave. ABC, just textbook, right? So just couldn't be any prettier. So here's the A wave, we come down, here's the B. Now B's a little bit shallow, I'd rather see that B go up to the 50, but you know, we see this. It's not uncommon. This was interesting because, you know, it's always a process of what did the algos do last. So that looks to me very much like that's a front run on the 50 and that's a slight front run on the target. So that looks to me like more algo participation. But the way I see that is this is completed 5. That's clearly a completed 3. Then we go ABC into a 1 wave because now I'm looking for 3-wave patterns. So if I allow for that, if I have this right, if this is A, ABC into my B, well then I've got an ABC into my 1 wave. Remember now we're looking for this to be completing, and this is now we're in a diagonal. So I can go ABC into my 1. I gotta stretch a little bit here, but it looks like I go ABC into my 2. It's not as clean as you might like it, but we get this little overlap here. So it looks more like I go into an A wave, a little ABC, and then I kick up for the 2 wave here. So I get a 1, 2. Well then again, I'm still looking for 3-wave structure because I'm in a diagonal ABC. Here's the 4 overlapping the 1 comfortably. So looking here, so again, you're always trying to check these. Does this look like it might be algo play here? Let me go into that. 50 golden zone we're a slight front run on the golden zone. We're certainly in the area where you'd anticipate some algo participation. No target realized as of yet. All right, that's too far for a front run. So right now we just have this hanging down here. Now, so as I will often tell you, just because it's there doesn't mean we must go down there. We don't have to go there. And I think we actually can finish this. Hang on one sec. Okay, I'm back. I'm gonna cough in the mic. Okay, so it looks like we can finish ABC and then ABC and then ABC down into my Z wave here. So the candidate here is for this low to be in. So if we finish it that way, it all plays rather nicely. So coming from this, A, B, C. All right, so even if we think about deeper algo targets, if this is going to be the front run here, well, this is realized. We're kind of left hanging here, so we're kind of in no man's land here. So the big one doesn't work as well. Then it's just a process of saying, did they use that? Well, that looks pretty telling. Did they use this? Maybe. All right. Are we still going just to new lows here? How are we going to know? Well, we're not going to know until we see what happens here or here. Can we get through this? Right now, that looks pretty interesting to me. Whoop, let me tighten that up. So if I come here, coming down to finish this from my 2, well, remember also, when we're looking at a diagonal, we're always looking for a relationship between the start of the 1 wave and the pivot of the 4th. So if I start, so here's the start of my 1 wave. So if I take it from this B wave high and I go through my 3rd wave low, well, no, what we get here, 50, damn near to the tick, but again, left hanging. No, it's unrealized target. So we got to just acknowledge that that's there. This could be corrective, that we have the potential now for a diagonal to be taking us out of this area, off of this low. So it's, you're a little suspect of it when we don't really have a technical pivot down here. So keep that in mind, that we don't have a clear, clean, even if we look additionally for a potential technical pivot on that 5th, I would take the length from, just as we do in terms of the retracement for the 4, we take the length of the 0 through 3, project it from the 4, and ideally, ideal target here, two ideal targets, 618 of that length, or 100 for parity. We come a little short again. Not quite. I can't quite find a good solid technical pivot to tell me that that low is in, other than I have a completed pattern. All of the ingredients are there for that pattern to be completing. So given that slight, well, put it this way, the acknowledgement that I can't find a good technical pivot down here for this low, it wouldn't be the craziest thing I'd ever seen. It wouldn't be the only time I'd ever found a pivot that I couldn't identify a technical pivot. It could be on a smaller time frame. Could be I just haven't found it yet. But in terms of digging through all of these pivots, can't quite find one that's close enough to where I can say, I know what they did. Right, there's the footprint for an algo. They were front running the target. Just can't quite get clean on it yet. Even market geometry isn't giving me a perfect pivot here. This, this course we got. So here we have a corner pocket. Right, that's just I like to show you these because they're so powerful. So we have from that corner, if that pivot holds, as I've shown this many times, we have 80%. Yeah, come here. 80% probability of making that target. Boom. All right, so then up to the reaction, we get to the other side of this. It's just not quite there. So this could be a sign of strength in that we don't get back to the median line. So this play, the 80% is realized with the tap of the median line. But this, again, you'd be kind of you're kind of trying to rationalize it or just think through it. Is this a sign of strength in that we can't get back to the median line? For all we know, the median line is going to come in much later. It doesn't look that way to me. Even again, if I pull here from the most recent swings and look at this, could be. This is strength. Well, let's pick it apart. So let's assume that possibly, given the completed pattern, that's enough. Maybe that low is in. Well, if that's low is in, we got to have a motive wave coming off of this. We've been through this very long, very complex 333 to get us to a pivot here so we can complete that pattern. Motive wave coming off looks like maybe we might. Let's go down to the 30-minute and see if this sets up and plays technically. Well, here's a reasonable candidate for our lead, for in this case what would be a leading diagonal. Right, so severe overlap here, and we almost challenged the 2. So is it technical, right? So can I find the pattern? So I can get an ABC out of that. I can get an ABC into my 2. I can certainly get an ABC into my 3. All right, well, let's think about it. All right, so we know this is deep. This is definitely deep, but not out of the bounds of where we might find a 2. Right, so we're on the opposite side of algo. So if you think about that, right, in terms of what algos would have done. So if they come down here, they start, look here, at the tick, to the tick. They start buying at the 50. They defend, broken. What do they do next? Well, next, all they're going to do is take the next swing high to swing low. Do we see any kind of reaction here? Well, they'd be out here. So they've taken 2 losers in a row. right? Don't worry about them. They'll be just fine. So we come here. So now they've taken 2 losers in a row. Well, now they're going to go swing high, swing low. Again, right? If this is a diagonal, we're kind of outside of the bounds here. So you're going, man, shit, algos is getting beaten up here. Well, right? They don't, it's not, sooner or later, they will find the right side of it. That's what they do. So we can look here and say, is it here? Maybe. Well, too far there. Second target, though. Interesting. Could it be here? All right. If we're thinking, oh, so interestingly, here we are sitting at the 50. So you're always trying to think, what did they do last? Could this be 1, 2, 3, 4? Well, I don't love that I've gone beyond the 618 there. So we know that this is often where we'll look for that pivot on the 3. So we got a little bounce here, but all that does is give us an A, B, and then looks like we come down and finish that C. So no question that's deep for a 4, but we don't violate. So I still have the potential for this diagonal to play here. You know, again, as I just showed you on the way down, there's a couple things. We're always checking for the pivot here. We'd like to see it at the 618. That's unusually deep, but again, not the craziest thing I'd ever seen. But so if we're looking here, well, now I've got something interesting up here. So I've got a confirmation or confluence is what I want to say towards my target. So I've got the 100, so parity between 0 through 3 projected from the 4, right up at an algo target here. Albeit it's deep for that target, but it's still there. So even if we take that off and just think, whoop, wrong one. Even if we just think about that 100 being there, on the idea that we're going to get parity here from 1 through 3 projected from the 4. Again, you know, do we have maybe some market geometry that can be helpful here if I'm working through the 1 through 3 down to the 4? Well, that'd be interesting to see. So, well, you're really kind of in a no man's land here. If you're trading this as the 4, you know, here's what you're going to run into. As I just showed you this, you're going to run into the resistance on the way up because algos now have been taking a beating here. Now, so they have started selling here. We're already through it. So what they're looking for is for this to take us down here. Well, if they did that, what would that mean for us? Would that change our count? Yeah, it would, right? Because now we'd be violating the 2. So you're kind of in a bit of a, you know, for me, this is wait and see. I don't like it because well, number one, I can't find a technical pivot here that I like. I'm deep here for the 4. Again, it doesn't disqualify it. It doesn't mean that we can't get up here. Doesn't mean we can't get up there. We certainly can. But I'm always trying to get behind what I can identify that the algos did last. So right now, I don't have it. I don't have it anywhere. Can't find it here in terms of this completing. Now, again, it doesn't mean that this can't complete. Matter of fact, if it does complete, then I like it all the more because now I know that despite the fact that I've had deep retracements and I'm too far on the 4, even though I don't disqualify, I can't get behind an algorithm, right? Which is always what I'm trying to do. Can I use the Elliott structure and Elliott knowledge to tuck in behind the algorithms and ride behind their inertia, or their momentum? How about I say it that way? So if I'm going to go 4, 5, what does that do for me? Well, it lets me clarify where I am. Because now I know I've got a leading diagonal. So the only thing I'm going to do then, again, on the assumption, I'm hypothetical here, on the assumption that I were to pivot up here, well, now I've got a good candidate for a 1 wave. So then I'm just going from here, I'm going to my 1 wave, and I'm looking for an ABC to take me down to the 2, 3, 4, and 5. There's just placeholders. All right, let's put that. We'll go yellow's fine, and we'll go up to subminuet. All right, so if I can get, well, I've already got subminuet. So let's go to, hang on, we'll go to minuet. All right, there we go. All right, now it makes sense. So if I can get a 1 up here, that somehow, some way, I need something to give me a technical pivot. I'm not finding it here. I'm not finding it here. This went deep. This went deep. Now, that said, this is why you find diagonals at trend changes because of the volatility as bulls and bears fighting it out here. Can't break the low. Can't break the high, can't break this low. That's what creates the depth of these swings. Right? Each side pushing to try and break the trend. Right now, you know, it's bull's ball. Right? So they have it. Can they get it up here to complete the motive wave and give us a 1? Right now, again, so I'm on a 30 minute, so I don't have too much further to go in terms of trying to find something technical in here. So my view is I like the pattern I like that I've got a good candidate here for my technical pattern. So I've got my 333. I've got a contender, a candidate for my 333 low. So I wouldn't be a buyer here. It's just too much uncertainty. I don't know where the algos are, what they did last. All I can see here is that potentially now they're selling into the swing high, swing low. That would be the most likely conclusion based on what we're seeing and the fact that they've been stopped a couple of times. So if they're coming here again, if they're coming swing high to swing low, well, I've just gone to the 50, and I'm getting a little. I'm not blowing right through it. Now it's, Friday, holiday weekend, late in the day. I don't want to read too much into that. But that I wouldn't be a buyer here. So I wouldn't think of it this way. You wouldn't want to be a buyer right at the 50 of a pull with a target that's got this down here. So not a good place to be a buyer. Now, that doesn't mean that trade couldn't go right there and you're like, yeah, what the hell does he know? I bought that and look, I made my target and made money. It's not that that's not possible. It's not what I'm saying. It's just that that's the percentage there. What doesn't make sense, right? So you might as well go to Vegas, right? At least you'll get free drinks there. Here, why? Why are you buying that? Because it's going up? You prefer to pay full retail? It's a hard rule for me. I only buy things that are going down. I only sell things that are going up. That's not an easy position to take, right? It's counterintuitive. But the reason I do that is because, one, a lot of experience. Two, it's easier for me to define my risk and where I'm wrong, right? So here, if you're trading this, well, where are you wrong? Well, down here. So what's that risk reward look like? All right, so if you're a buyer here at the 50 because you are absolutely certain that OX is going up and we're going to get to that target, we're going to finish this motive wave, well, you got two choices. Either you're going to trade your wallet, i.e. your risk tolerance here, or you're going to trade the market. Well, if you're trading the market, that's where your stop is. What do you got? You got 1.4 to 1. Right? It's just, nobody takes that trade, right? So you can be in here. Oh, there's a pivot. Well, I got 2.8 to 1 still. So I got to have 3 to 1. Well, again, why? Why force that? There's no need to. If this is going to go up here to the 1, plenty of time to catch the 2. The 2 is inevitable, right? And again, now I don't know that we pivot here. That's not what I'm saying. But look what I've got here. I've got my parity of 0 through 3. I've got my upper parallel. I likely have something I can pull from above, looking for resistance. I got all sorts of pivots here that I can pull from. So if I take it from this pivot up here down to my low, well, what else is there? See, that's why you can't see. I see a lot of traders do this, right? They get so caught up in what they're looking at here, they forget to pull out and go, wait a minute, what am I likely to run into up there? So even if you did buy it here and you got the push, so. You're just running right into the most likely spot for resistance. All right, could be. I absolutely guarantee you, right, that there's a piece of software written to go from that swing high to that swing low and start selling at the 50. I'd like to think we're past the point I need to prove that to you. So here again, there's just no reason to do it. So let this thing reveal itself. If this is going to be a motive wave, great. Okay, so there's a 1. Where's the next trade? All I've done is confirm my pivot down here. Thank you very much. Right? 1. Now I'm just looking for the ABC. Okay, good. Now I'm all the more comfortable trading that, looking for that. That's the smarter way to do it, in my view. Again, why force this here? Well, it's number 2 on the coin checkup scale. Okay, great. That's long term. What about this right here? Yeah, maybe, but that's not a trade I would take. And nor would I counsel anyone to take that. In fact, I'd counsel you not to take it. Again, and knowing that very well could go right there. It's just low percentage. So why do it? So let the thing reveal itself. Do we have a motive wave? Great. Okay, what's next? 3 waves. Where's that 2? Is it going to go deep again? We've seen it a couple of times. Go deep. Maybe we go deep. Right? It can only go so far. There we're out. Right? Then the count is wrong. Let's let it come right into that sweet spot between the 50 and the 618. That's where you trade it. Now you're trading pattern, price, and most importantly, you can get behind the algo. right? Because there'll be an algo that, as I just showed you, that will take it from swing low to swing high. It'll start buying at the 50, right? And if we're going to get a true Elliott count, then your third is way the hell up here. That's your trade. Now you've got much better risk reward. You've confirmed the low. You've confirmed the pattern. If you can catch it here, assuming you can catch it between the 50 and the 618, and I don't know where that pivots, but that's the higher probability. That's the smarter way to approach it, right? You clearly know where you're at. You clearly know where you're looking to get in. Remember, market's going down. That's where I like to buy it. It's go up. Ox is on sale. Right? I don't want to pay full retail. I want to wait until they tell me that the Ox is on sale. 50% off. Right, 3 comes up here. 4 and 5. Did you miss anything? Oh, man, you didn't get the absolute pivot low? Do you care? Really? Right, just don't, particularly now. Think how brutal crypto has been for the last going into 9 months. Why are you forcing along? Let this thing show its hand. All right, guys, that's probably a wrap for today. We're going into the weekend. I have a feeling we'll be back on Monday for maybe an update based on what we see over the weekend. But that's about all I got for you today. We always like to encourage you to give us a follow on Twitter if you're not doing so already. And if you want to learn more about the way we teach and really getting fluent with this whole methodology and this approach, you can always find out more about us over on our website. That's tradedevils.com. There's links right below this video. All right, guys, have a good weekend.